At this point in time, I am looking at the cryptocurrency market as a whole and thinking, regulation is coming in the next 12 to 18 months. The Fed is going to cut rates, and this new vehicle of adoption is just getting started, etc. We have had the ETF for 2 weeks. The sales teams have a lot of time to conduct phone calls because most exchange-traded funds are introduced and do not start trading for 6 to 7 weeks because today is a particular day. So, if you're a member of the Invesco or BlackRock sales force or any of the other 9 large sales forces selling Bitcoin, you haven't even begun making calls yet. And that is extremely significant. Recently, when having a fireside discussion, Galaxy's founder and CEO, according to Digital, the average time it takes for an authorized exchange-traded fund to begin trading is several days, if not weeks. The selected candidates will have extra time to market the new products to their rich clients thanks to this prolonged term. The Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, on the other hand, were approved the day after, and trading began the following day. This is why the multi-billionaire thinks these ETFs will see even bigger changes in the future. The Bitcoin business has been waiting patiently for another event for years, and Novogratz, who visits Washington often, has an optimistic view. The cryptocurrency business in the U.S. is in dire need of regulatory clarification, and Gratz believes that it will be forthcoming within the next 12 to 18 months. Gratz believes that this bull market will grow into something bigger than we can fathom. Now that all these things have taken place and tail issues like FTX have been resolved. Thus, in 2021, we emerged from the Fed's policy shift regarding cryptocurrencies and began to increase rates in a forceful manner. If this were the case, the value of crypto and gold would fall, and that is exactly what happened. All the dishonesty and fraud in the area really sped it up. And after that, there was FTX and Celsius, along with a whole host of shameful participants. Because cryptos relied on trust, we saw a significant erosion of that faith. So you experienced a textbook case of market capitulation. It was so despised by all. Sales would be abysmal. The debt was paid off by all. Nobody will ever touch it again. So you should only come in and buy when there is total blood on the streets and in the markets. It's terrifying. Even though you'll appear foolish, that's when you had the best chances to buy. Consequently, Bitcoin around $18,000, $17,000 was a fantastic time to buy, looking back. So what changed? What changed to turn those wins into our favor? To begin, the Federal Reserve is drawing toward the end of its rate hiking cycle. They won't be hiking indefinitely. They're just starting off. Thus, the pause was audible and visible, and the rate cutting cycle is about to begin. The macro tailwind ended there. You had an unusual conglomeration of fortunate events. The large closed-end Bitcoin fund Grayscale sued the SEC, claiming that their actions were unjust. Do not allow an ETF to occur. Well, they came out on top. They lost in court, which is why we ETF, not because Gary Gensler said, I really love crypto now, or because the Biden administration. The crypto sector is overseen by 3 branches of government, and the courts are a godsend. Then, out of nowhere, we'll have an ETF. Hey, this thing called Bitcoin, I know I used to think it didn't serve a purpose, but it's pretty important. Larry Fink, one of the most influential asset managers in history, publicly stated, because it was a symbol for institutional investors everywhere, Larry Fink's orange pilfering was enormously significant. Although there are many participants, his position as the chief executive officer of the world's biggest asset manager sets him apart. Crypto, it seems, has always been about the big picture and widespread. You could begin to feel that adoption is imminent. Consequently, individuals begin to prioritize that. We also resolved the Binance issue. Binance is the largest cryptocurrency exchange globally. Everything was preoccupied with the money. CZ paid a hefty price, stepped down, and settled with the government on some key IC fines. Thus, the danger around Binance. The leading participant shifted from this location to this one. It has thus become a transaction. The biggest exchange is still it. However, nobody anticipates that it will be shut down in the next week. It is not believed that they are short on funds. It is merely a player based offshore. Consequently, we combined a tailwind and removed many of the tail rests, and now you're in a situation where what else can we do to kick things into high gear? At least the United States isn't at a regulatory standstill. The good news is that we still have 11 months to wait until the election. Regardless of the outcome, Gary Gensler will not be appointed chair of the SEC. Some laws are on their way to you. There will be progress for you. 2 bills have reached a bipartisan consensus before I even get to Washington, D.C. Several players, including Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler, are obstructing it. It will, however, alter. According to Satoshi Nakamoto's paper, the white paper is actually the populist guard. Since then, we've witnessed Joe Biden and Donald Trump, the 2 presidents with the largest cabinets in the last 4 decades. Just before COVID, Trump blew the doors off government spending, which was already at an unprecedented level. Hey, it's my turn now, Biden announced just now. Consequently, the federal government spending has been stabilized at 25 GDP. Just so you know, I was an employee in the Office of Management and Budget back in 1984. I was also an employee of Reagan's and David Stockman's administration. At the helm of the OMS, David Stockman, and I discovered, well, look at the regulations. Spending 20 and trying to tax 20 are both done by the federal government, plus their typical tax rate is just 20. We typically have a budget deficit because we spend $20 more than we take in through taxes, and it refers to both the Republican and Democratic administration. In 1999, under Bill Clinton's administration, we achieved budget balance thanks to such technology receipts. Plus, we arrived there short. Am I correct? We have utilized that framework, though. Suddenly, we're at 25 thanks to Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Review the projected budget for the coming year. 26%. More than that, we haven't even taxed 18. The result is that we are financing this enormous deficit. This country is facing an intractable budgetary catastrophe. Plus, no one is taking any action when I visit Washington, D.C. A Simpson-Bowles bill is necessary, as you pointed out. A balanced budget, according to the men who were around during Simpson-Bowles. Is there a way to rein on spending? That isn't going to happen, you know. To what end do you attribute that belief? How come it isn't up for discussion? It seemed like money could grow on trees when interest rates were low. You know, money does, in fact, grow on trees, according to Elizabeth Warren and current monetary theory. Quite a few individuals persist in believing this to be effective. Well, at least it seemed to have some effect. For very some time, both interest rates and inflation were quite low. Most people don't realize how devastating inflation is for the majority of the population. As we saw for the past 3 years, disregard the peak. Those who attend this conference either have very fortunate or very astute bosses who can find ways to get around it. However, in 2010, the national average home price was $189,000. In 2010, it seemed like a 3-iron was far away. By 2024, the average property price had risen to $400,000. In what feels like a decade, we've seen the average American house price quadruple. It is mind-boggling. Inflation of assets and goods is bringing down the United States. More populism is a result of this. That segment of individuals thinks nothing is working for me. And screw you people in D.C. That's why Donald Trump continues to receive 38 of the vote in every survey. So here we are caught in this loop. When it comes out, I have no idea. The only hope I have when I pray the Hail Marys at night is that artificial intelligence will be so revolutionary that it will result in the biggest increase in productivity in the contemporary era. We can keep running these massive deficits since they don't cost anything. And our productivity boost keeps inflation low. That seems like a fairly specific goal. While I do anticipate AI will have far-reaching consequences, I remain pessimistic about the likelihood that it will suddenly appear every